Hello, and welcome back to the Misty Morrison Podcast. I'm your host, Misty Morrison, and this is episode 44 of Petty Please. Here on the Misty Morrison Podcast, we love to judge, we love to give advice. On Petty Please specifically, we love to read other people's stories, their petty revenge, neighbor drama, entitlement, all the things. Just read the stories and be grateful that it is not us. Before we get into the stories for the day, our usual housekeeping. Whether you are new or returning, please remember to engage with the content to help the channel grow. Every bit of engagement can help. Rate, review, like, subscribe, share it with a friend, comment with your thoughts on stories down below. Long form content is posted every Tuesday and Thursday, podcast and YouTube, and short form content is posted across socials 2 to 3 times daily. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. All right, and our stories for the day. Story number 1 is coming to us from r/neighbors from hell. Neighbor almost intentionally hit me with his car. This one is labeled vent/rant. My neighbor blocked us in our driveway on December 19th, 2025 at 7:43 p.m. I called non-emergency so they could back up the tow truck company and I would have a police report on the incident. He ignored the cop knocking on and off for half an hour. Neighbor comes out when his truck is halfway on the tow truck, acting like a tough guy. Deed was already done. He had to pay a fine and have his truck taken off the tow truck, or pay even more to get it out the following day. He paid a little under $300. He had blocked us in before. Talking wasn't doing anything. I got tired of it. Fast forward a few days, December 23rd, 2025, around 5 p.m. I walk across the street to run an errand. It was about a 10 or 15 minute window time frame. Wasn't gone that long. As I'm walking back home and coming into my street, which is a dead-end street with a cul-de-sac that allows cars to slow down and turn around, my house is the third house on the right. My neighbor's house is the third house on the left-hand side, but his is a little closer to the corner than mine. As I'm walking to my gate, I notice my neighbor's truck. He starts revving up his engine a few times and he accelerates, almost hitting me with his truck. Had I not moved, he would have hit me. It felt like an intimidating, threatening gesture. I called the cops on him, non-emergency. I wasn't hurt, just a little shaken up and pissed. I told dispatch that I felt like my neighbor was doing this out of retaliation now. It wasn't a simple police report. Cops seemed bothered that he had to go the extra mile and do a criminal investigation, take pics, get statements, and hand them over to the district attorney. I told the cops I wanted to press charges against my neighbor. I felt like the cop was giving me a hard time, but when he got the statement from the neighbor, his attitude shifted, and he seemed more human. He told me straight out, the neighbor is saying something completely different. I got the reference number from the cop, but haven't heard back from the local police department. I'm wondering if I even am. These things can take weeks and months. Meantime, neighbor is revving his engine even more, blasting music, thinking that's that. I was told by another neighbor that he's making up stories about me trying to break into his trucks and threatening to beat him up. I'm thinking of going into the local PD Monday morning with the reference number asking for an update. Anyone have any experience with something like this, where it's beyond harassment and a full criminal investigation? What can I expect? Will I have to go to court over this to press charges on him, or is that all up to the district attorney's office and what they decide? Ooh. You're calmer than me. I would have called 911. This is an emergency. Wow, that one's rough. I mean, surely with the reference number, you can try to get an update. Like that's what they gave you the reference number for. I feel like with things like that, it's hard to get them to just call you. Like you have to do the following up. But good for you for deciding to press charges. It sounds like you really need to. My eye has been angry all day. Like it started out like there was something in it this morning, and I did some allergy eye drops and it felt okay. So I went ahead and put contacts in. It was not okay. It has bothered me all day. It's getting worse as the day progresses, but I'm trying to make it to bedtime without having to switch to glasses. I'm wearing glasses tomorrow. It's fine, but if I rub my eye a lot in this, that's why. That's why my eye is not comfortable. Story number 2 is coming to us from... Okay, so for this one, I found an update post. So, and it's like 3 sentences, so I'll read it, and then it links to the original story. So, story number 2 is coming to us from r/neighbors from hell. Update, they got evicted. Apartment NFH. I wanted to update my post from 7 months ago, harassing us through doorbell camera. The neighbors got evicted from the apartment a few weeks after I made the post. As they were leaving, they made sure to flip off my camera one last time. So from that, I'm just going to go ahead and call these one story. But also posted to r/neighbors from hell is the original, harassing us through a doorbell camera, tagged apartment NFH. A new neighbor moved in with 3 children back in January, ages around 4, 10, and 16. The first warm weekend, all the children and their friends quickly began to play ding-dong ditch, hitting our cars with balls, sitting on our cars, screaming around the parking lot at midnight. Mom works weekends, so all of them are frequently left alone. Towards the end of the day, we had an incident where all of them kicked our doors at the same time and ran off. My next-door neighbor was sick of it and called the police. Evidence was backed up with my Ring camera. Leasing office was contacted, and we believe they got a warning. Well, after a couple of weeks of semi-peace, we had to contact the leasing office again yesterday because the kids were shooting water guns at our doors and ding-dong ditching again. Now the mom and kids are becoming hostile, and when they pass my camera, they are waving, flicking it off, cussing at us, and saying other obscene things directly at my camera when the other 2 neighbors have also complained, but they don't have cameras. So at this point, I'm wondering when this is borderline harassment because I'm becoming uncomfortable to leave my apartment as they become more hostile. It's harassment now. It's not borderline. It's harassment. Yes. I hope that you've already gone past the leasing office and have police reports on file for everything they do. So from this, I'm glad that they got evicted. Story number 3 is coming to us from r/neighbors from hell. Tried to be patient with new neighbors, but they lost my sympathy. This one is tagged, what would you do, vent/rant. I've lived in my complex for 2 years with 0 issues. No complaints against me, no complaints about others. I had new neighbors move upstairs a couple months ago, and they're making it hard to enjoy my space. Strike 1. The dogs. Multiple dogs barking on and off for extended periods of time. What I would consider incessant. It's prolonged, repetitive barking that carries straight through my ceiling. I tried being a normal adult and politely addressing this a few weeks after they moved in. I knocked on their door, but no one answered. I left a friendly note with my name explaining the noise was carrying directly into my unit. I gave them a grace period to adjust, but there was no change after a few weeks. I took an audio recording of this one that's pretty incriminating. Strike 2. Electric guitar playing through an amp. I felt like this was bold considering the neighbor below you complained about noise, which made me less sympathetic to their situation. Reddit seems very divided on whether amplified instruments are allowed during the day, so I'm torn on this one. Strike 3. The party. This weekend, they had people over with loud yelling and noise during quiet hours that was clearly audible in my unit. This was my breaking point, and where I angrily typed a formal complaint to my complex at 1 a.m. Management is taking it seriously enough to say they'd reach out to the tenants directly, which makes me think this isn't just apartment living. This is my first time filing a complaint against neighbors. What's the best way to handle it without escalating things unnecessarily? I really don't think it's for you to escalate. Like, you did your part, you contacted management, they'll handle it however they will. I think in these situations, the people that you complain against are the ones who typically escalate their behavior kind of in retaliation for your complaint. Let's see, the dogs barking is annoying. I feel like if you're going to live in an apartment, you need to either have a more quiet type of dog, I don't know what kind of dog you have, but it's not a quiet kind, or have to be able to train your dog to At least stop barking when you tell them to. Strike 2 was the electric guitar. Oof. When I lived in an apartment complex, I wasn't allowed to play instruments or make noise. But I would say, for an electric guitar, you have to use an amp. That's the way it makes sound. I think it is completely fair for someone to play an electric guitar in their unit, but I don't think it would be right for them to, like, blast it. You don't need to turn it all the way up to be able to play or to be able to hear the sound that you're making. I think they should be allowed to play it. Yes, it's their space too, just not to the point where it is excessive or, during quiet hours. If it's daytime, as long as it's not excessive, then I think it's fair. Strike 3 was the party, loud yelling and noise during quiet hours. Okay, you said you typed a complaint to your complex at 1 a.m. If there are quiet hours in your area, is it only for your apartment complex, or is it for the town or city that you live in? Because if it is, you should have called the non-emergency line to make a formal complaint and file a police report. So start building your case. I'm here for everyone always building their case. Okay. Story number 4 is coming to us from r/neighbors from hell. It's time to have a conversation about doorbell camera etiquette. Good follow-up. This one is labeled vent/rant. It seems like everyone has a doorbell camera these days, but me. I don't have to because my next door neighbor has one and we share a porch since we live in a duplex. That's fair. The trouble is, the woman who lives next door is using her doorbell camera as a way to know when I'm outside, so she can bother me. And she's totally inappropriate. Her family is a total disaster. The 4 small children scream and kick the walls and have temper tantrums from about 6 a.m. to as late as 11:30 p.m. on a regular basis. And she lacks the cognitive skills and critical thinking to come up with positive parenting strategies, so she just yells. They are chaos. Anyhow, I'm sure you can imagine the last person I want bothering me when I'm outside is that woman and her screaming kids. But every time I took my dog outside to do his business, she'd come outside with her kids to chit-chat. And despite repeated firm requests to the mother of the kids to keep their distance from my leash dog, they are shoving their faces in his and overwhelming him. My poor dog is trying to take a crap in peace. And I think he has the right to do it without small children all over him. The woman doesn't do anything but say, "Be gentle to the doggy." I told her I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease and I'm on a low dose of chemotherapy that weakens my immune system. So I'm trying to stay away from people, especially school-aged children, and still didn't get the hint to quit coming outside for no other reason than to start talking to me. The other totally unacceptable thing she's done is come outside and ask if she can borrow money and to say, "My daughter, 6 years old, keeps pooping on the carpet. Do you have one of those little carpet cleaners I can borrow?" When you said chaos, you meant it. I do own one, but I flat out lied and told her, no, I don't own one. Yeah. There were times I was on the phone and she could clearly see I was on the phone and would just stand there and stare at me as if she was expecting me to end my phone call and talk to her. One time I asked her, "I'm sorry, do you need to tell me something important?" She just said, "Oh no, I just came out to visit." I said, "I'm on the phone." She just stared at me and finally went inside. I finally had enough and told her very plainly, paraphrased, that I can't stand the constant noise and it's miserable living next to her family. My sons and I can't even sit at our kitchen table and enjoy a meal because of the screaming, and to stay away from me when I'm outside because I'm not her friend. I'm not a mean person, but she failed to get the hint for 6 months that I don't want to be friends or have conversations with her and her screaming children while my dog takes a crap. I think there should be an unspoken rule that if you live in a shared community like a duplex, apartment, condo, or townhouse, don't use it as a surveillance tool to keep tabs on your neighbors just going about their business. Neighborly interactions should be limited to chance encounters at the mailbox or bringing out the trash. Am I right? Oh my goodness. There's so much here. But I can't get past the 6-year-old pooping on the carpet. Nope, that's too much for me. Oh. Okay, so it's a duplex. Have you complained to the management company, leasing agency, whatever it is? Have you complained to the people you pay rent to? Because this is wild. It doesn't seem like you have been in any way vague or unclear. Like, it doesn't seem like you have just hinted. I mean, you really make it sound like maybe she's not all there. You've expressly said you don't want them around the dog. She lets them do whatever they want anyway. That's the worst part. Besides the kid pooping on the carpet, oh my. You said that you have an autoimmune disease. You are trying to stay away from school-age children. You've not been unclear with your request for her to leave you alone. You're right, her behavior is completely inappropriate. I think you're right, maybe because you said she lacks the cognitive skills and critical thinking. I think you're right. I think that's the problem here. Because you didn't hint, she just is not taking no for an answer. And she probably needs a friend. If she's there all day long with the kids constantly throwing temper tantrums and yelling and kicking things, she's clearly overwhelmed because she is not handling those situations. She needs a friend, but you don't want to be it and you don't have to be it. And she has 4 kids, she should be adult enough to accept that. Well, I do feel bad for you. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's rough. Okay. Story number 5. Okay, story number 5 is an update, and there is a link to the beginning of the saga. They're in the same subreddit. Okay, I'm going to read these two. Well, yeah, I'll read them. I'll read them together. There'll just be more links in the show notes or the description box than stories because they go together. That makes sense to me. Okay, story number 5 is coming to us from r/neighbors from hell. It's time to have a conversation. Oh, wait, I just read this one. Oh, okay. I understand now. Okay, I had them both already saved, so my save there one after another. Okay, so story number 5 that we're reading now is actually the update post for story number 4 that we just read. Here we go. It's late, I'm tired. It's cold out. Story number 5 is coming to us from r/neighbors from hell. Get it together. My neighbor had a total meltdown and now it's on the internet forever. This one is labeled vent/rant. Edit, link to the beginning of the saga, and they link to story 4. Yesterday, I posted here with a title of, "It's time to have a conversation about doorbell camera etiquette." I'm not going to retell the story, but you can look that up in here. Everyone has pretty much agreed she is the problem. I agree as well. So here's what happened prior to my posting this on Reddit. I posted the exact same thing on Nextdoor, almost hoping she'd see it because my landlord hasn't done much to help me except ask them to keep it down. And I was feeling extra peeved because their noise was extra obnoxious. And I just hoped she'd see it and maybe have a moment of self-awareness. An epiphany of sorts that would inspire her to read some parenting books and put an effort into giving those poor kids a shot at a home that has safe boundaries and structure. She is married, by the way, and the chaos is not quite so bad when he's home. Just don't want anyone to think I'm ripping on a single mother. I did get the impression of single mom when I read your first story, so I'm glad you clarified. Anyhow, the post was on Saturday. It picked up major traction with absolutely no one telling me I'm in the wrong and validating my absolute disgust and frustration regarding the wreckage of existence that I share a common wall with. She saw my post and lost her ever-loving mind. She called the police and said I was harassing her and she feared for her safety. You meant lost her mind. The police show up. I was baffled. I haven't even gone out my front door in weeks since I told her to leave me alone. I don't want to be her friend. Read the post and you'll know why. So the police asked me if I've confronted her today or made threats, etc. They asked to see my ID, and they finally told me that my neighbor read my post on Nextdoor and called them. They read the post and said I was exercising my First Amendment rights and I had done nothing wrong, but just wanted confirmation from me that I had not actually done something that would warrant a call to the police. They left my house and apparently told her little sensitive, triggered self that you can't arrest people for venting in a public forum. Good for them. Well, my post did get muted because I guess she reported it as public shaming. She needed that. Yeah, she should be ashamed that she's not running a house over there. She's running a shit show. And it's so bad somebody spent the time to write an epic essay on Nextdoor. So she's younger, in her early 20s with 4 kids and counting, and actually used the word triggered, and I don't feel my space is safe. Okay, that triggers me. I'm Gen X. We don't get triggered unless her generation whines about feeling harassed and not safe. Because an effing adult told her to basically start parenting and quit expecting everyone else to accept her mess as normal. She and her disaster of a family take up all the space in the realm of my earshot, all the space with her kids trying to pet my dog when he's trying to crap, all the space in our shared carport and grass, and now she wants to invade my space on social media. My landlord called me today and said she had told him about my online bullying, requesting an intervention with the landlord so she could talk about her feelings. We don't care about your feelings here. I laughed and told my landlord, "You're kidding, right?" I've had enough. What is this? A call to the principal's office? Have you notified my parents? I'm done making accommodations for these babies. She might have stolen my space on Nextdoor, but paste "it's time to have a conversation about doorbell camera etiquette" into your browser, and my rant is right there, forever, for as long as Reddit exists. OP, good for you. Good storytelling. Oh my goodness. I really want more. I want to know what happened with the landlord when you're like, I'm not doing this. She's mad because you told the truth about her and her family. You had every right to say what you said. Like, they are horrible, horrible neighbors. They are constantly inconveniencing you. Maybe this is the first time somebody ever called her on her bullshit. I don't know. That's wild. Okay, I want to go to OP's. I feel like the only thing that you have left to do is move. Let's see. Okay. So there's the first post, there's story 4, 10 days ago. Story 5, 9 days ago. And she has 2 more posts. Okay, kind of similar. You can go to OP's page and read them if you want to. That was a lot. That was so much. I don't blame you for kind of being done with the whole situation. This got wild in a hurry. The fact that she actually had the nerve to call the police and call the landlord because you posted something online that she didn't like. Wild. You can tell she's in her early 20s because that prefrontal cortex has clearly not finished developing for her yet. Ooh, I'm so sorry. I think you need to move. I think you need to move. Okay, that is 5 stories for this week's episode of Petty Please. Thank you so much for being here for another episode of the Misty Morrison Podcast. Remember, kindness changes everything. Stay safe during Snowmageddon or Icemageddon, depending on where you are in the country. And I will see you next time. Bye.